Happy Pride, motherfuckers!
It's been
iced coffee and rage.
It's been a day for me. Two things actually. I didn't even tell you the first one because the
My
second
mic
one
was
so
muted,
big.
damn it. Sorry, everyone. Sophia has a big announcement. My mic was muted.
I could hear you, which is strange.
It was muted on Streamlabs.
OBS.
Yeah, on OBS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have two big announcements, but the second one was so big I actually forgot to tell you the first one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So we'll start with the small news and work our way to the big one.
Okay.
I got signed to my first show today as an LPA. I wouldn't say I'm like signed, but I agreed to take a show call, which means I'm going to be working for the same show from start to finish, even if they're in the studio, which will be from this Friday until September 14th, meaning I might be really in and out on the podcast. I might just not even be available some Wednesday nights just for that period.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is huge because I'll be able to complete my apprenticeship and get that shit done. So I have
So
a future in film.
once you complete your apprenticeship, like what does that unlock for you?
The ability to do exactly what I'm doing now, but not have my membership disappear after. So essentially, because I'm an apprentice, right? If I don't complete the criteria of my apprenticeship by the end of the year, and like the criteria is only work 50 days in a year and for 3 different shows, that's a really, really, really low bar unless like you're just not getting shows. But like if you get called, 50 work days out of the year is not a lot to ask, right?
No, not really, no.
FMLA takes like 150.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it actually differs depending on the position. Like I think set PAs are 100 because of the type of difference in the job. But I will get enough days from this one show alone to complete my 50 days. And because of that, I'll make enough connections in there to get 2 other show calls, which is like extremely easy considering I had to turn down another show call to take this one. Like I got 2 within 2 days. It was that much.
That's how it always happens, isn't it? Like with anything that you're doing, you're like, I'm not getting shit, not getting shit. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, now you have to choose. And you're like, fuck you.
I greased the wheels with some magic, and the problem is I cast for broke, right? Like I swing for the fucking fences when I do. So it's like I'm like petitioning Saturn, like my friend recommended me, and I'm like have incense I'm burning, and I'm like asking for it in prayer and like putting out all these emails like every single week. And then next thing you know, everything lines up and I have to turn down work. And it's funny because I started taking LSP work again, which was like
but they understand that, right? Like they understand like, oh, I already have another contract. Like, sorry.
Yes,
like, okay.
100%.
As long as they're not like taking it as you being like, fuck you, you know?
If they were to be like that, then what they essentially have done is locked themselves out for all of the future years from a good LPA who could move up to become a locations manager or a location scout. Not to say that that's my career trajectory, but it would not behoove them because we're guild members, right? We're professionals. If they were to like treat me in a way that is like shitty like that, I could report them to the guild. Not to say that that alone would warrant a report, but if someone were to be like harassing me in response to me turning down a job and being petty and bitter, they're really screwing themselves, and that type of attitude is very unprofessional, and people do not like to work with people like that, right? So if they're going to be like that, I just did myself a favor with not working with that person, because then they're going to twist the wrench even more on me when I'm on set, right?
Right, yeah.
I've been kind of trying to put off the second news because it's so big and I'm almost scared to say it. So I've talked a lot about my Indigenous ancestry on this channel, about me being Métis, and I've said how I'm non-status because I can't necessarily prove it. I found out from my dad today where my family comes from. We straight up have family members buried on Muskeg Lake, Cree Nation in Saskatchewan, like Reservation 102. So
there you go.
that's it. I found out, and he's gonna look into whether or not we can like get status now and a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm still kind of trying to emotionally process the whole thing, but it ain't even up for debate anymore. I can prove it dead to fucking rights. We got people buried on the res, and it's been huge for me because it was like I lived a lot of my life not getting to know and being stuck in that liminal space that I've talked a lot about on this channel, right? And to finally like not have to guess anymore, to not have to fight about it, to not have to worry. It's like just a huge weight off, and like it opens me up to so much. Like I
Like you could get like
I'm gonna
proper
make
education now, like in.
No, that's not how it works, and that's also a
No,
huge misconception.
really.
So a lot of those, so everybody thinks that when you get status, you can get funding for school, and it just doesn't work that way.
No, I
So,
don't mean so much that. I meant just like learning about like your culture's
oh, okay,
practices and like, because I
yes,
remember you saying
yeah,
like there
I
was
100%
something,
can.
because you're like you're like on the like medium tier circle, like you're not on the outer circle, you're like kind of the
Yes.
almost inner circle, but yeah.
I wouldn't the circle metaphor makes sense. I thought you meant like I could go for like
No.
school under like paid grant, because like that is the most common thing that people ask when you talk
I
about
mean, those
like
grants
status
do
and stuff.
exist, but I don't think they're for very
Yeah,
much.
but
I
they're
don't
for
think
people
so.
who've, well, I can tell you they are for a certain amount, but what they are for is for people who grow up on the respective land
Mm,
and reservation they come from, right?
got it.
So Cree Lake is not going to go and give out grants to people who are Mi'kmaq, who are from the other side of the country, right?
Right.
That's not how it works. And a lot of people think that there's just like a magical button you hit when you get it and the government just gives you money, but that's not really how it works.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, I actually, if I get status, I might not have to pay income tax anymore.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be
Yeah.
cool. That is
Fuck the
one of the few
government.
benefits. Well, they've seriously fucked us a huge amount over the
Seriously.
course of history. Like
Yeah, fuck
Métis
them right back.
got just so brutally screwed out of our like lands too that we were given through treaty negotiations.
Hell
Like
yeah.
they actively dispossessed us from it. So I know status Métis people who were given like land script and like got payment settles for it, and they have like land they own now. So like if I'm working in film and I have status and I'm not paying tax, I'm just gonna save up a whole bunch of money and start pumping it into the reservation and be like, "Hey y'all, let's make shit happen," and like it, do what I can, and like give back because like and I want to get out there and go see if I can find the graves and pay my proper respects to my ancestors because
Do you
like
have like are they marked with like names or
I I
you
don't
don't
know.
know?
I want to try and find it, right? All I know is that my dad found out, and like I was saying to Jay, he's a little old. He's like in his 60s now, I think. And like he found out this information back in 2012 that he found out from one of my family members that we have people buried on the reservation, right? But he just forgot about it or didn't think it was like that important, and he didn't put two and two together, and he literally said to me in conversation, he's like, "Oh, I guess they don't bury like white people on the res," and I'm like, "No, they don't. Of course they don't, Dad. Why would they?"
Like that's ridiculous.
But like that's just like the kind of assumptions and like kind of like, oh no, just shit that just makes people not think about it, right? So like I can straight up prove that we're Cree Métis, and nobody can take that away from me ever again. So it's
That's what's
fucking
up.
big. Yeah. And like it's weird too because when I got the text from my dad, the song Payday from Doja Cat started playing, and she's like saying, "This is all you've wanted. You've wanted this all your life, and now it's yours." And I'm like fucking bawling my eyes out down the street because like I finally have a career, which I never thought I was going to have, and now I have like knowledge of where we come from and like actual connection to be able to go to like to circle and like to ceremony and to actually get to learn every bit I can, and maybe find people out here to I don't even know what to do with, right? I'm gonna definitely find a Métis friendship center out here, take steps forward with that now that I know where we come from. So it's been a fucking big day, to say
That's
the least.
awesome. Like when we were talking about it before recording, I was thinking, to myself, I was just kind of taking in what you were saying, because like initially I was just kind of like, oh cool, because like I equated it to like, oh, I found out that like when people do like their ancestry tests or like whatever like that, and people are like, oh, I'm 10% this or I'm whatever this, and then you're like, oh cool, that's cool. But like it really sunk in like when you were talking, and I was like, well, like you're native to this land. Like you can prove that you like are descendant of people who are native to that land, and you're pretty damn close to that actual spot where they were all those fucking years ago, and that's just, it's very beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try and get out there when I can, and it's big. I don't even know what the fuck to say other than I'm like really happy and really grateful that I've gotten this, because this is like what I've wanted for a very, very long time. Like I had that culture shaped hole in my heart, because like everybody kind of gets to grow up with at least an idea of who they are, even if it's like this weird settler mythology, right? Because like I talk to a lot of settlers out here, and they'll like tell me about Canada and what it means as like a concept, and what it means to grow up as a Canadian settler, and how
what is the Canadian, like, okay, because I'll say like in America, I guess like the vibe is like we're American and we're free and we can do whatever we want and we have freedom for the sake of free. I don't know, whatever. We're just free here, apparently. So, and we're better than everyone because we're free. So, what is the Canadian like brainwashing technique? Yeah.
It's that we're nice and we're polite and we're civilized up here, and bad stuff doesn't happen in Canada, and there's no racism here. There is no war in Bossing Say. That's the fucking attitude in Canada. I'm dead serious. Like,
wow,
we laugh.
Head in the
laugh,
fucking sand.
I'm being dead serious. Like,
it's a dark laugh. Yeah.
We've been telling people for forever what they did to us with the residential schools, right? They didn't believe us until they dug up the children.
Right, better than what was done in America. The same exact fucking thing.
Exactly. And I even after the article, even after they dug up children, I read an article from conservatives saying why it was a hoax. They will construct any narrative rather than believe the actual truth of what happened, right? So Canada is essentially a nation that's founded on a brutal fucking genocide, and one that continues to this day, because they're still forcibly sterilizing Indigenous people. They're still taking away people's kids, and there's more children right now in protective services than there have ever been in all of Canadian history, actually.
Do you know, I don't know if you know this offhand, do you know, is there a higher native population in Canada versus the States?
No idea. Per capita? Maybe.
Overall, I was curious about this. Like when I rejoined the podcast, I wanted to, and first of all, I wanted to say,
you did do a lot of reading on Métis culture.
I did some reading into the Métis people, and it was really interesting to me, and I can connect on that level. Like when I got that confirmation that I am Ashkenazi, and like it meant a lot, because that's my connection to people that have been around for a pretty long time, and basically through trauma and Nazis, we've all just kind of come together. And I come from the Bronx, so of course that's where I get my musical heart. No, I'm joking. But it was very excuse me. Overall, I believe there are more tribes in the States than there are in Canada. Just in basis of just like population, but per capita, it might be higher in Canada. But overall, I think there are more recognized First Nations in the States than there are in Canada.
Yeah, so A good thing that you can look at to reference this to that correlates what Rue is saying is if you check out Native Land. It's either nativeland.ca or nativeland.com, and you can see the ancestral lands of each group and where they lived. And there's a ton of overlapping ones in the areas in the United States. And in Canada, it's like a lot wider and a lot bigger. Like Cree territory is fucking huge, and there's numerous different types of Cree. There's like Swamp Cree, there's Lake Cree, there's Plains Cree, there's Moose Cree, there's North Cree, and that's just some divisions, right? But even that's under the big greater umbrella of Cree, right? Or Nahea. I'm probably saying that wrong because I need some firsthand language lessons, but yeah.
For example, in Philly, I looked at I love that website. In Philly, we're on Dene Land. Here.
Yes. Yeah.
And that stretches basically from like Montgomery County down to Delaware.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
so
a big area.
and just population wise, once again, I'm gonna pull the statistic that there's more people in the state of California than there is in all of Canada. If you're likely to just have more Indigenous people in America just simply by level of population, right?
I guess also because
But-
Canada's colder too, so it's a much colder climate, so there's a lot of just sparsely populated areas.
That's kind of the thing that I was going to. Well, also kind of, there's a few points that lead into this. I've heard Indigenous people in America talk about wanting to move to Canada because there seems to be more recognition for Indigenous people up here. So I don't know, I can't speak to anybody's lived experience south of the border. I only have mine up here, right?
I'll tell you, sort of like the perception of like, I guess, modern day Native people living in the States is pretty much like, I don't know, the perception that I was fed as a child was very like horrible and stupid. But it's basically like The Simpsons, where like they all run these quote unquote the Indian casinos, quote unquote. That's basically like what was kind of fed to us. Like, oh yeah, they just have this free land and then they have a casino and they make all this money. And I'm like, wow, that's just, and they really reinforce that idea in this country, and it's absolutely so fucking awful.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of comments about casinos and casino winnings because that does seem to be an issue and something that's tied to what goes on in the States.
But I'm like, whatever, if they get around whatever fucking laws, taxes, or bullshit, fuck you. Like,
yeah, seriously. Fuck the federal government. What was I gonna say? But yeah, there seems to be a lot of recognition up here. Like, you never hear about like White House press conferences with Indigenous nations. You would be hard pressed to even find a video of a president of the United States speaking with Indigenous representatives, right? Yet we have so many different instances and videos of like Native people having conversations with Trudeau and getting promises from him, and like they have to try and get us, like we count as like a demographic of the country and voting and stuff, right? So they want our support in certain ways because they do need our, I wouldn't say condoning, but like our cooperation on some level to exist as they do in their modern form, right? So I don't know, it kind of seems complicated. It might be a little bit more, yeah, but it might be a little easier up here. I don't know. I can't speak to American experience of Indigenous people.
Yeah, I know really nothing about it either. And I don't know any Native people like from the States that I really talk to.
I know a couple. The one is in Florida and he's with Creek Nation. He's a captive. And the other person is Lakota from, oh god, I don't know which state it is. It's wherever Porcupine Reservation is. His family is tied to the Porcupine Reservation in, I think it's South Dakota. It's either South Dakota or North Dakota. I can't remember. But yeah, I do know a few Americans, and it really depends on where you are, honestly.
I was regarding the conversation and did a quick Google search, and there are actually currently 6 natives who are serving in the United States Congress. for their respective areas. You have Deb Holland, who is from the Laguna Pueblo tribe, and
like New Mexico area, like
I would
south.
assume
Sounds like.
she is actually the Secretary of the Interior. Sharice Davids, Tom Cole. There are 2 Cherokees, Mark Wayne, who is a Republican, which doesn't really make sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
Well, that's interesting.
There's all kinds. Yvette Harrell, and then actually there is one Hawaiian native who is representing Hawaii.
Yeah, we're not a monolith, so there are conservative natives and people who have some pretty backwards views sometimes.
It's like gay Republicans. It's like, I don't get.
People are not a monolith. No group,
No.
and we can tie this back to pride. No group is a monolith, right? And it's kind of interesting to me. We talked a lot about the remains of the children getting unburied last year, right? Want to know what part of the Canadian government's apology was to Indigenous people? They gave us an Indigenous Peoples Month.
Oh, a whole month now.
Guess when it is? It's right now.
Oh, it's Pride Month. Oh, okay. That's
not enough month in the years, y'all. You're gonna have to share it with the gays.
I said February because that's.
You know what that means for me?
They give the shortest month to somebody.
Yeah, I always think about that. How Black History Month is the shortest month of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, they already did that, so they couldn't do it.
They couldn't do that again.
They couldn't give us all of September. They couldn't give us August. They had to give us the same month as the queers so that we are reminded that we don't actually ever get anything that's just about us. But it suits me just fine. You know why? It gives us time to come together and coordinate.
At Pride events.
Y'all fucked up. Y'all fucked up.
Saw this post on
the revolution starts at Pride.
Literally saw a post that was like, the revolution starts with a bunch of trans women on horses riding to woodies.
Oh my God. I saw a post that was Marsha P. Johnson trying to explain to baby queers how to get their freedom, and it's just like this lady holding a brick talking to like puppets. So fucking funny.
Fucking beautiful.
Also true. Also true. Yeah. So it's Pride Month and it's Indigenous Wrath Month. So yay, you have provoked the ire of multiple communities, corporate capitalism and colonialism. I hope you're satisfied with yourself because you're absolutely fucked now.
I was wondering, since it's the beginning of Wrath Month, that I was like, should I just start collecting all of the rainbow corporate logos that I see? Just collect screenshots and be like, all right, which one of you fuckers did it?
Somebody already did it for you. It's a TikTok.
Oh, it's already a thing.
There you go.
Now I don't have to work that hard at it. What's your idea?
What if, as witches, we just gathered up all the rainbow corporate crap they gave us and made a giant fucking effigy out of it?
Oh.
I was gonna say, and burn it,
yes. I like that idea a lot.
We should start doing rainbow effigies every month.
Yes, as part of
gigantic fucking.
Yeah, because instead of gay pride, it's definitely going to be gay wrath. It needs to be gay wrath.
There ain't no more pride anymore, boys. There's ladies and non-binary friends. There's just fucking wrath. Okay.
I love it. It's like Burning Man, but like only for the gay. Actually, Scott was talking to me about this.
But the thing we're burning is corporate capitalism.
Exactly. No, Scott was here on Monday because it was a holiday here, Memorial Day. I don't know, something about the military. Whatever.
Those who passed.
Okay, it's a military holiday. Anyway, I had off. And Scott was up here and we were talking about shop ideas actually for like the podcast shop. That's what we were kind of planning and working on. And we were talking about I honestly, I can't forget what the fuck we were talking about, but I was just like, yes, I'm a gay, and and they were like, what the fuck did they say? How did they phrase it? Can't remember. It's like, oh, I love how I'm an old gay because everything is just gay, like, like I'm just like, I'm a gay, you're a gay, we're all gay, like it doesn't matter like what you are. It was just really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I
once. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just funny because I find myself doing the same, and also I'd like to shout out my corporate company real quick because they did actually put out like an image that was like Judge celebrates Pride Month and had the progress flag on it, and they actually have a Pride progress flag in the lobby, which is amazing, but it doesn't surprise me because I'm able to be out and not get like fruit thrown at me. So
Yeah, like your company, like, do you got a heartbeat? Cool.
Like, awesome.
That's about it.
How to use spreadsheets?
Beautiful.
Is your labor profitable under capitalism? Good job.
A plus.
Awesome. But I stole that image that they sent, and now it's on my signature. So now every time I send an email, everybody knows what a big old faggot I am.
Big old quickity queer.
Peak queer energy in here.
No, but
your straps on your shoulders, it just looks like you have gun holsters. Like I'm just waiting for like the or even just like Nerf guns, you know.
Hang on. Y'all don't actually know this, but my purse I wear looks like my purse I wear looks like a gun belt. Hang on, I'll put it on to show y'all.
You look like you're ready for a whole LARP right now.
I get a lot of stares when I go out in public, so this is my belt.
Yeah, I love that.
Like that.
Yes.
Got my pockets there. Got a little red string of fate there on the side. Got a busted zipper in here that doesn't close it that I gotta fix all the time. Just walking around like that and just.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it definitely looks like you have like gun holsters over your shoulders.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they just straps for my underbust, but it looks really cool. And then I got the medicine wheel pin there. It looks really nice there. I also have a Métis pin that my mom picked me up, but I really don't like wearing it because I'm afraid I'm gonna lose it if the back falls off.
Yeah, and it's very tiny.
I never find it, and it's really sentimental to me, so I don't want to lose it.
Something like that, I would like keep on my altar or something like that, or.
Yep.
I was gonna say
I have a lot of
pins I really like. I push into my desk. My desk is made
yes,
out of wood, so
you just slam them into the desk.
Yeah, I've got a collection of pins without their backs on the altar that have lost all their backs, but I've saved the pins and collected them all up and put them up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Pride Month, and gosh,
we're
golly gee,
big old gays. What?
And nothing
we're
has
old
changed
gays.
fundamentally. Actually, no, that's not true. Stuff has changed fundamentally.
A lot has really changed because, like Rue's mom is, you know, a lesbian and all, and like when she talks about, I feel weird about saying the word lesbian. I don't know. Everyone's gay. Rue's mom is also a gay, and she
also doesn't like the term lesbian.
I know
so
she doesn't like the
she
term.
would prefer gay.
Oh right, yeah, right. But like they, you know, they'll tell stories about like when they were young and they were doing whatever, and like it just sounds like a different planet sometimes. But then there are also like a lot of similarities too. You're like, oh well, that really hasn't changed, has it? Oh, that really hasn't changed, has it?
What makes it sound like it's a different planet?
I guess
I'm from some pretty old school shit myself, I'll have you know.
Like, I'm trying to put it in perspective. I think sometimes the language that they use, like Denise will always say like, oh, you know, so and so and her lover. You know, not like girlfriend, because like I don't know, we don't really like say that anymore. Like, oh, her lover.
I'm joking.
Yeah, like we just, you know, but that's just kind of the language that she uses, and I thought that was interesting. And also, it seems like bar culture was a lot different there was a lot more lesbian bars or women kind of like for queer women bars then I think than
Sure,
there are
because you could
now.
afford property back then.
Yeah, and like the bar scene was a lot different. Now the bar scene, like honestly, like from what I understand of the bar scene, the gay bar scene right now in Philly is like there's a lot of cocaine. That's really all I hear from people.
Sounds about white.
Yeah, that too.
I meant white
So
isn't cocaine.
yeah, but also a lot of just, and there's a lot of racism also in the queer community too. Like there's a lot of like, I guess it's like just such a shame that like we were saying earlier, like even in one group of people, like all these people that are queer, even among them, you have racists, you have Nazis, you have even homophobes and transphobes. Like you have cis gay men that are transphobic. It's just like it blows your mind.
With the racism part, I'm not gonna lie, it's been so hard for me to date. I have not found success with other people who are not like part indigenous at least, or are like marginalized in some way, because like the fucking conversations and interactions we have are like, oh my god, and it's fucking tiring, right? Because like I've been out as a trans woman for 7 fucking years now, right? Yeah, that's crazy for me to say. When I came out, people were real shit about it, right? In the course of 7 years, cis people are with it now. A lot of them. Not gonna say all of them are, but I've met a lot of cis people who are a lot fucking better about trans issues and don't misgender me and don't do shit different. Now, if that much can change in 7 years relating trans issues, how come we're still dealing with the same levels of racism we've always fucking dealt with? And that's the thing that kicks me right in the nuts every time, right? Is I've met cis lesbians and everything was going great, and I'm like kind of waiting for something to happen, from like white cis lesbians, and it'll be like, no transphobia, actually amazing on all that stuff, treats you like a woman. Suddenly talk shit about native people, and you're like, what the fuck?
And you're like, welp, cross that one.
It's so fucking insidious because racism is such an ingrained thing in culture that people don't want to check it, and the very idea that you could be engaging in racist behavior makes people themselves feel vulnerable and anxious and offended, so then they lash out, right? I think part of the problem is how people use the word racist. Like, I'm gonna quote a content creator from YouTube, T1J, the one janitor. Look him up; he's awesome. His quote is, I feel like the word racist works better as a verb than a noun, right? And he's fucking spot on, because you can talk about what someone's doing and causing harm without trying to label them as such, right? So like, for example, let's say you have no, that's a bad example. I can't really draw a parallel with this. Yeah, essentially, like, actually, here's a good example. My mom doesn't actively hold hate in her heart for anybody, right? But some shit she says, because she hasn't examined it, right? There's a phrase she used I can't even repeat because it's like a racist word for a slave, and she said it to me, and I was like, and she's like, what? And I'm like, you can't fucking say that, Mom. And she's like, what? And I'm like, that's the most racist phrase in the world. And she's like, my mom said that. I'm like, Mom, stop and deconstruct what this phrase means. And she stopped and she's like, oh. I'm like, don't ever fucking say it again. I ain't even gonna say it on here. It's bad, right? Like,
see, my mom is the exact same way, except she will dig her heels into the sand, and she will just, well, I didn't mean it that way, but just, I'll be like,
build a fucking castle in that sand.
Oh yeah, like it just, the thing I've said on the podcast before, she, like, when she first moved to Florida, she said the black people in Florida aren't like the black people in Philadelphia, and I was like, Mom, take a step back and think about what you just fucking said. I was like, you also...
I had down most of my wine just hearing that.
Right, and I was like, like, there's just so many layers there to unpack. Or this other thing that she does.
Too many layers.
Yeah, there's other thing that she does that my dad, he tans pretty dark, and so I don't know, maybe I think we are like a smidge Italian. I don't know, he tans dark. And my cousin has a daughter who is she's mixed. She's black, white, and Puerto Rican.
Mm-hmm.
So she also is dark, and she tans very dark. And so my mom always like compares my dad's like, oh yeah, like look, like you guys are almost the same, and I'm like, just stop, because you're just you're running with it, and you're making everyone cringe and feel uncomfortable. So please just stop.
Mm-hmm.
I had to tell her, like, at a family barbecue, I was like, you need to stop now. What? I didn't. Just stop.
Because everybody loves having the color of their skin pointed out to them repeatedly. It's
Right.
a fucking fun experience.
Especially because she's literally the obvious one brown girl at the rest of my family, at this side of my family, white. So I was like, Mom, just shut the fuck up. Fuck. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Cut
And in
it
that
out.
case, it's a verb. It's not a noun. It's not like she's trying to cause harm, but she's like learned stupid behaviors that
Yes.
people just gotta unlearn, right? So, yeah, pride's fucked. Well, I mean, it's not fucked, but it's very cliquey and insular. And I feel like we have this conversation every year. Like it comes to pride just so we can complain about how much we have that we don't like about pride, you know?
Yes, and sometimes
We're
I
not
hate.
wrong either.
I mean, we're not wrong, and like look at like the trajectory of like how the world has gone. Like just what's happened between the first time we talked about pride, between like, what is this, the fourth time we've talked about pride? It was 4 years, right? That's what we determined.
Yes.
So much has happened and changed in the world, and I think if anything, what the past couple of years has done is like it's removed sort of that rose tint. We've also all gotten older too, so like we've all aged and we've gone through things, and so older and wiser. But I think just the way like this pandemic was handled, and this and war and famine and plague, it's just like the whole thing has really made us see what humanity is like. And it's not pleasant, and it's even within our own communities. And because that used to be the thing, like you would go to a pride event or at a gay bar, like especially for me being young, and I'd be like, oh my god, like everyone here is so happy, and there's music and there's dancing and everyone's happy and we're all here because we're gay. And then you kind of start to unpack and you start to see that people still have their shitty fucking opinions despite the fact that they're gay. But I will still say that I will always feel more comfortable in a queer space as opposed to like I'll always I'll always be more comfortable at a gay bar than I would at just like a regular Joe Schmo bar on the corner. I mean, that's for damn sure. And the reason is like there's a certain vibe. There is a certain like camaraderie there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you on that. And what you said kind of reminds me of a video I was watching recently. It was talking about how there's no true human nature that's universal. There's just like real big cultural differences between us. And like and the really good argument for this is if there was a universal human nature, then the cultures we develop would mirror each other all around the world, but they really don't, right? And it really got me thinking about how like it's the cultures that we develop that lead to the outcomes of what we have, right? And like I wouldn't say that there's like a queer community toxicity issues so much as like we need to work on culture. And I know those aren't even like the words that you use. I'm just like it jogged me to think about that, right? Because a lot of people tend to be like, human nature is to fight and be selfish, but it's like we've existed in a system that has forced us to embody those things for so long that a lot of people will naturally gravitate towards it because that's the culture, right? But in other ones that are built around a different model, everything kind of structures itself and works out differently, right? So I'm really, really believing in the future having a better world actually possibly working out for us, you know? And it starts with the communities we develop and things like how we come together with pride and how we treat each other and how we take care of each other, you know?
Yeah, I think kind of like these subcultures and communities, like a common ground needs to be kind of established, and we got to get more people on board with the fact that, like, okay, if everyone's in it for themselves, what are we all doing? Like, ultimately,
Dying.
right? It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
All
a
I know
good
is
question.
all I know is like sometimes we're not meant to have the answers, and I kind of learned that today or a while ago thinking about like my whole family stuff, right? Like my dad didn't have the answers as to where he came from. He just survived, you know? He didn't know why his life was hard. It just was. And now that he got through, he did his monumental task of like picking himself up and making sure he had a life to pass on to his kids, right? And because he did that, and because his father survived, it doesn't matter how many generations we fell out for, there's somebody who is ready to pick it up on down the line who was capable of doing stuff that the previous generations just didn't think was going to happen, right? So I have hope for the future. You know, we don't know what the generation right now growing up is going to look like, but if I was growing up in generation alpha, I'll tell you this, I would be strapping my fucking combat boots on every summer and going out to protests. Like my fucking life depends on it because it does, you know?
I also think that I kind of like that because we have gotten more progressive over the years. So like for example, you know, same-sex marriage in the United States, you know, federally legal. I think, like, I never thought that would happen. You know, I never thought that would happen. So we've gotten a lot more progressive in a lot of ways, and I think that's one thing to be hopeful about. Kind of like what you were saying, and it's kind of like what we were saying in the last recording of how like more younger people are going to get into positions of power, and they're going to be able to kind of like change the narrative of what we're doing. And I think what's really good is that the concept of family is kind of changing culturally, like, because our cultures are so blended together, and especially like with the way humanity's going, like I fully expect, I saw this like it was like a computer generated image of a person, just like a generic like woman, and she just was just very like blended. She looked like every like person on the planet like blended into one person, and I really think that's kind of like what we're headed for. And also like this concept of family being not just blood, like family, because like what you were saying, Sophia, about, you know, your dad being able to pass on to his kids. But I think about like in the queer perspective, you know, not all of us have children, and I talk about this with Rue a lot, is that like I love that the concept of family is kind of changing and evolving, because I fully expect that at some point in my life I'm going to encounter some young queer person looking for direction or guidance or whatever, or just looking for a job at my cool ass witch shop, you know? And, you know, and I really expect to just kind of like take that person into my family, and, you know, maybe pass on this podcast, this community, maybe pass on what I've started to that person. Yeah, I think about that, and because like a lot of times with pride, like I don't know, because it comes into that idea of passing things on, and sometimes I get really like, I don't know, kind of bummed when I'm like, oh, I don't have any blood to like pass anything on to. But I fully expect that there will be some young gay that enters my life for sure.
Yeah.
I've
queer adoption.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I've told Jay this before, but I've never told you. That almost already happened at one point in my life through the wonderful community that is World of Warcraft. I met this wonderful young trans woman, who, when I met her, she was still an underaged boy going by Justin, who was on the football team, and was thought he might be gay. But through playing the game with her, and she eventually came out to me, and unfortunately, she had the unfortunate birthplace of Alabama, and her father was the atypical Southern not gentleman, and I almost had to take this girl into my one-bedroom apartment in Delaware, because I was so worried for her well-being, because I knew she wasn't safe down there. And she had graduated high school at this point, and I was like, sure, I have a futon in my living room. You can sleep on that and we'll make it work, and it's fine. And thank God she went off to college, and she met some great friends at college and stuff like that. So but yeah, that's most likely the trajectory that our life will go. As much as it's no secret that I would love children, this world ain't made. There's too many wanted babies that need help out there without bringing more life into the world.
And a shortage of baby formula for them, but that's a whole other fucking... Can't even with fucking that.
Oh yeah, the whole baby shortage formula thing. You know what would have happened in Europe? Those guys would have been jailed.
I don't know what caused it. All I know is that there was a shortage.
Companies would have been seized, and it would have became a public fucking asset. Ugh! America infuriates me.
Yeah, all I know about, like, did they say why? Is it just like this supply chain
you live in
issue?
Look, I'm gonna be really honest. Sorry, you go ahead.
I from what I heard on the news and what I've read on Reddit, and no, not an expert on the issue, a lot of their quality, all the baby formula in America is made by 3 companies. 3 major corporations. And all of those major corporations suffered massive losses due to COVID. Especially in their quality control departments.
Hashtag not a monopoly.
Hashtag not a monopoly. It's a not-galopoly, whatever. Do not pass go. Do not collect money. No, the reason inflation's so high is because everybody got $1,800 payments. Oh no!
Oh, that's what we were talking about earlier, is kind of like how conservatives, right? Like how they kind of find any excuse to like take something and spin it like in their own kind of fucked up, stupid ass way. Like we were talking about vaccines, like how they say this is why I hate my fucking brain sometimes, is because I'm really good at being impartial sometimes, and I hate it. But so they were like, well, is it really a vaccine if it's only effective for like 3 to 6 months? Because yes, it's been shown that it does, the effectiveness of it does degrade over time, right? But I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how you would use that as a counter argument, right? But then I was thinking, I was like, yeah, but like if we all just would have like wore our masks and like locked the fuck down and like done what we were supposed to fucking do in the beginning, the goddamn thing wouldn't have mutated 100,000 fucking times, and we'd be alright. So, shut up.
Yep. Also, I was going to point out that a lot of those people who say, oh, this isn't a vaccine because vaccines grant one type immunity, and it's like, you're not a virologist. You don't understand how varied things like COVID are. If
the flu shot isn't
were
annual.
A magical button that you push. Yeah, why do we have the flu? Why do we have the cold? Motherfucker, are you like What?
Yeah.
There's too much variation of the COVID virus to that quickly get a pan immunity one. You know what's funny? All these people screaming, "You can't make a vaccine that quick." Yeah, you can. And then they're
If you
screaming,
throw money at it.
if you did, and they're screaming, if they made it properly, it would grant immunity forever. That's not how it works. They are currently actually working on a immunization that would do just that. It's called the pan immunization or the pan coronavirus immunization. Something
That
along
sounds
those lines.
amazing.
It's
Please.
being worked on by the US military. I have not heard any update in it for a while. It's still not done. But if it works, it would confer full immunity to all related COVID-19 strains. Vaccines that are that complicated enough to cover that wide of a range of like variances
Will
take
take years.
fucking time.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't just like snap your fucking fingers and have it. And it's like the exact arguments that they try to use to prove the one vaccine isn't real are the exact arguments you can use to prove why it's real. You know what I mean?
I know, it's like they go so far right that they come right back.
They're just a dog chasing their fucking tail and mad that everybody else isn't doing the same thing because they like the smell of their own ass. Holy shit, that's a good quote.
That.
One of my favorite tweets is this girl tweeting out like about vaccines. It was, instead of a vaccine, they should just give us a little microdose of the virus, a weakened dose of the virus, so our bodies can learn to fight it off. And I was like,
Yeah, those of us who survive will fight it off. The rest will die.
right. But like, what is the general basic concept of a vaccine? That, you know, that's the basic idea behind it. Is it's a little tiny
Man.
piece of it.
Us queers over here
Poquito.
surviving fucking HIV and COVID, let me tell ya what.
There's
I was telling Jay earlier, there is way too much of the Rona in my office right now for me to be comfortable with. I'm thankful I'm quad vax. All four corners. What's up? Because
I need my
swear to
fourth
God,
shin.
that's the only thing that's protecting me right now because everybody around me is getting it. But knock on wood.
That's my favorite thing about
good here.
That is my favorite thing about film is the COVID compliance is off the fucking hook. Like you have to do a screening pass each day before coming into work to see if you have any symptoms, and then they get you tested every 3 days. So like
Wow.
if you got tested one day and you got exposed that day and it took the 3-day gestation period, they'll catch it within the shortest possible window.
That's pretty
They don't-
smart.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They don't fuck around. Actually, because of that, I feel safer working in film than I do taking transit to work.
Well, yeah, because film is on such a tight schedule. Like that's the thing. Is like every like
And
you.
we're working in close quarters, right?
Yeah, and you can't afford like that. You can't afford the time. There is no time to fuck up, and so you can't.
That's why
you
everything
can't have your
costs so
act.
fucking much.
Yeah, and you can't have your act. One, you can't have your crew getting sick, because then you don't have crew. But you really, what it really could, you can't have them actors getting sick either, because like they're the ones doing the thing.
Or the directors, or the director of cinematography, or the gaffer, or like
so much goes
King
into
Grips.
the production of a movie or a show. Like one key piece, and good luck.
God. There is a meme I saw in movie set memes today, and have you seen the Batman Beyond meme where he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "You killed my father." And he stops for a second and starts walking forward and says, "Do you have any idea the slightest bit that narrows it down?" And he's like just annoyed at him because it doesn't narrow it down whatsoever. It's like that was the meme, but with like, "Who are you? I've worked with you. Do you have any idea how little that fucking narrows it down?" Like, there's hundreds of people, and I mean hundreds of people involved in like any given movie that's A tier, and I don't say A tier as in like AAA gaming. Like films are allocated a budget tier, or they're allocated a tier based off of the amount of budget that they have and what they can actually provide towards it, right? So B tier pays different than A tier, and like something you sometimes take F tier, which can be like commercials, you know, or E tier.
Have you worked
know?
on a commercial?
No, I'm gonna. I don't want to like humble brag because it's. But I've not worked anything other than A-list shows.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
How you do
I'm
it.
really fortunate, and I'm not. I don't want to brag about it, so I'm sorry if anybody hears that and they're upset. It's just happened. And
Get
yeah,
over it.
the
It's awesome.
show, the two shows that offered me a show call are both A tier out here as well. So I'm gonna be working on that kind of stuff, and it's like big studios like CBS or Paramount or Apple or Amazon or
Toronto's
Netflix.
Toronto's a
all of those would
hotspot
be
for
A tier.
filming. Yeah, I
Fucking
notice
right,
a
it is.
lot of things are filmed out there.
Yeah, I can't even say on camera how many actors I've been on set. I wouldn't say like I talk to them, but some of them I actually have. If they've like said hi to me, you're not supposed to talk to the talent. But like I've had days where it was my job to sit outside the lead actor's trailer, make sure nobody fucks with it. Right? Like like proper people come and go, sure, but if somebody's causing shit, I'm like the first person on the phone being like, "Yo, we got a problem," sort of thing. So, yeah, my life is weird now.
I think another interesting career path or another interesting job for you might have been like a bouncer at like a club. Yeah.
I laugh because I thought about it very severely.
You have all the skill set for it, so I mean,
you know what the problem is? No, what you want out of a bouncer is just being so goddamn big that nobody wants to fuck with you. See, I'm the type of bouncer where people only listen at the end of a knuckle, right? I look small, they think they can take me, so people throw at me, right? They learn after that they can't take me, but it leads to a fight.
Right,
Good
yeah.
bouncers are so fucking big that nobody even checks them. They don't even try. They're scared to. That's a good bouncer.
True.
So I'm not some like 6'6" slab of beef fucking jacked up by stacking iron every day and loving their fucking life doing it, you know, and like hats off to y'all big folks out there. It's like, whew, hella hot.
I think Amy Blackthorne, I know she worked security. I know she worked a security job, like where she had like, you know, a gun and everything. Like I know she worked a job like that. I'm pretty sure she said that. But I do think she said that she was a bouncer at one point, and she is tall. Like she is like either like 6 foot or damn near.
And that's what they look for in people is height for bouncers typically. Unless you're like just like another thing is if you're like fucking ripped. Like if I had just
muscles, your muscles were like flexing.
That's the intimidation factor, right? And if they want to check me, I can fucking throw them to the ground, right?
I always like in cartoons, so you see like the muscle and then another arm pops up and then that arm flexes.
Well, like, for example, when I roll my one arm up here, you can see how it cuts a crease in my arm because my muscle takes up so much space, it, like, forms its own fucking cleavage, right? That's really what rippling muscles is there's so much, they start fighting for their defined shapes. Like, this is my spot, that's your spot, you fucking stay over there, man. And next thing you know, you're, like, ripped and you have, like... I'll tell you this. The number one key feature you don't ever want to see on somebody if you're about to fight them is their veins on their arms. If they got like big veiny arms sticking out, you don't fight that motherfucker. They have more cardio in their arms than you do, unless you got the same thing. Don't challenge them. They'll fucking knock you out dead cold. I'm serious.
Really?
That's the number one thing. Yes. That like I do a lot of threat assessment of people when I'm like dealing with people who like might throw punches and shit. If I see somebody with like a riverbed of veins on their arms, I'm very fucking careful because they are the fastest motherfuckers with those hands. I'm serious.
I learned something today.
If someone's veiny, you do not fuck with them because that's like a lot of blood pumping through the muscles, and they're just like bam, like explosive speed. It's fucking crazy.
I can honestly say I've never really gotten into a fight in my entire life thus far.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep it that way. I'm not really one for physical confrontation.
I've never lost a fight because every fight I could have got into that I wouldn't win, I was smart enough to avoid or get away from.
See? Pick your battles. Know how to pick your battles.
Why would I fight that guy who's following me home at 3 a.m. who has a crazed look in his eye? And why would I back down from the guy who just struck me in the face who I needed to defend myself against in the moment?
Exactly.
Both are real situations that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what are you going to say, Ru?
Damn.
Something about fighting. Not having any.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. That triggered that. I was like, you don't have to fight. You're in the words of TikTok, you're the golden retriever gamer boyfriend, and
I'm the golden retriever. This is new to me. What are the children talking about? What are the youth
golden
saying?
Retrievers? Okay, golden retrievers are very happy and very chill and just non-confrontational, and they're just always there doing their thing and gaming. So I totally get where they're coming from with this.
And then
you're
they
like,
have
ah,
their angry
shit.
pit bull attack girlfriend. Hi. You don't need to fight because
Yeah.
You know, pit bulls are
Give me
not
a
that
reason.
angry.
Oh
Pit bulls
yeah,
are
yeah.
not that angry. Like
Oh.
real pit bulls are just like they're like, can I get some attention and love? And it's like, oh my god, yes, come here. And then they like jump up on your lap and they're like, oh, I'm just a 60-pound child. And I'm like, yes, you are.
there are pictures on our Instagram of both of my my mom had a pit bull, Sammy, who
Aw.
passed a couple years ago. I actually posted him. I posted a picture of me and of him giving me a hug on Twitter, and it got like retweeted by like this influencer if I loaded. I was like, ah.
Aww.
And then I was just showing off a picture I have of Chunk in a little t-shirt, which is my mom's 80-pound brindle pit bull. Pit bulls are my favorite dogs in the whole wide world. I love pit bulls.
They're angels. If there wasn't so many laws against them and I could pick a dog, I'd either get a shepherd because they're real smart, although they got a lot of health problems, but I would hella go for a pit bull because they're smart.
All
they're
dog
agile.
breeds
They're like
have health problems. Like every
not
time
nuts.
every time I've talked to someone about like breeds of dogs, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, but they got they got a lot of health problems. Like pugs, oh they got a lot of health problems.
Did you know that? Same with cats.
Really?
White cat.
Oh no, we lost Sophia. Oh.
Sophia, come back.
If you can hear us, we lost you.
Oh.
You're kind of coming back.
I'm back now because I switched off my Wi-Fi.
Ah. So what were you saying about white cats?
So, white cats, and I learned this from my ex-girlfriend, because of the inbreeding that they use to get the white cats, they're more prone to genetic faults. So they can have poor eyesight and poor hearing, and her cat was born deaf. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's very common. Just like I literally learned this off of Reddit today. All calico cats are female. Like only the calico gene can only be on female cats. So if you see any of those cats with the multiple colors, they're guaranteed to be female. Also, yeah, the white cats, they're known.
Does calico just mean that they have like a mix of different colors on them?
Correct.
Okay.
It looks like different patches. Yes.
But you can still have like male tabbies with white undersides, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thought so.
I really want to.
Their stripes back.
I want to do.
Have like orange spots.
I want to. You can buy like
DNA testing on the cat.
A DNA test for your cat. I really want to, but they're fucking expensive. Like I didn't even pay that much for my DNA test, let alone theirs. They're like $100 a pop.
You want to know why you didn't pay that much for yours?
Because I sold it to the Mormons, apparently.
What?
But apparently, I think it's Ancestry is run by Mormons. And so when you do Ancestry, you sell your soul to the Mormons, or I don't know, whatever.
Sweet.
That's actually what I was gonna say. Is they steal your genetic data and use it to market stuff back to you and stop just selling it to third-party companies.
Yeah, and I know that they were gonna do that. I just really wanted to know what my what my DNA was, and I was like, well,
That's so
you
fucked up,
go.
though, isn't it?
It is. You know,
I've been getting all those ads for yarmulkes and dreidels.
oh my gosh. No, I was thinking, what we were just talking about. Oh yeah, like selling your data. Like when my dad, he's like a couple times I've had to like write my grandfather's like social security number or like his credit card number and like send it to my dad for whatever fucking reason. So he's like, well, make sure you write the numbers in such a way where it doesn't look like a social security number. I was like, Dad, anyone can get whatever the fuck they want about you whenever the fuck they want it. If they want it that bad, they will find it. Like,
well, you don't want to make it easy for them.
Right, but it's just like, really? Like, you gotta be like this.
His is a little paranoid.
Yeah.
But for example, something as simple as two-factor authentication will root out so many low-effort hacks, because the great swaths of majority scammers are not expert skilled at like network communications, and those who are, you can't keep out. So yeah.
Literally have a two-factor for work just to get into Microsoft. It's
I
Google
think
offers an authenticator, Microsoft offers an authenticator.
I think that I have to use my phone for two-factor authentication all day long for work, to log into the bank, to log into this thing, log into that thing, plus my own personal bullshit, right? I really think that if I have to have a fucking smartphone to log into shit to do this job, y'all should either, one, supply me with one, or pay my bill.
See, that's the fun thing about film, baby. It's in our contracts, and they do, because
That's good.
can renegotiate as guild members, and you can get a phone allowance.
Because, like, the guild is kind of functions like a union in a way, right? Like, you have,
Guild's like a union, except it doesn't guarantee you work. You work together as individuals.
But it guarantees you certain protections.
Yes, because if we strike as like, so if the DGC, the Directors Guild of Canada, decides to strike because of the AMP, American Movie Partners, AMPT, whatever that acronym is, who causes lots of issues, they were striking over in British Columbia because of agreements. So what happens is you pay guild dues, and then the guild negotiates for protections and certain stuff, and like make sure that your job is fucking safe for you to do, right? You still have to go and look for work and apply for it, whereas in a union there's call lists and like guaranteed work stuff, and if you have union seniority, you're going to get called in on stuff, and there's different ways it works. A guild is similar but different. It's freelance, and I set my own schedule sort of thing, unless like say I get signed on to contract like I'm about to from this Friday to September, right? But my choice after that contract's elapsed, I can go on EI if I want to. Not that I will, because I still need to work a little bit more. But I can go on EI and just say it's a shortage of contract, and it's the slow season. And I plan to work until to like the December, like they do every year. And legitimately, that's when it shuts down, and everybody goes on EI for a little bit, and then it's like the slow season always happens from like January for a few months, and then it picks back up on it, right? But like, I can't even remember why I got into this.
I don't know. Seems like your busy work season and mine are the same. Everyone buys houses in the spring and summer, and everyone films in the spring and summer.
How guild stuff works. So they don't guarantee me work, but they guarantee me training, access to the hot list, which lets me know all the shows going on in the Greater Toronto area, membership lookups. So like I can go and look up any other member of the DGC in Canada and get their contact information that they have willingly put on that list, because it's like a work list, how we find each other. And that's how like I have applied for work is by finding ALMs on that list from the hot sheet and then going and applying to them because that's what we're supposed to do, right?
That's interesting.
So you advocate for yourself and make sure that you're getting the work that you need, and your reputation and how you act on the job determines whether you're getting called back or not. Whereas in unions, there can be a lot of protections for people who want to act really shitty just because of seniority stuff, right? Not to shit talk unions. It's like unions are great. Without unions and guilds, we would be absolutely just
Mega
fucked
fucked.
over by corporations in every single way. But there's nuances between a guild and a union, but they're very similar. But this is actually like my first guild or union I've been part of in my whole life. So if anything I said there was slightly off, I'm sorry. That's best of my apprentice knowledge.
You gave her the old college try.
I don't, you know what? No, I gave her the old high school try because I don't have a college education.
Well, trust me, you ain't missing anything. If anything, college got me fat with debt and fat with calories. Like, that's what happened.
Yeah, well, if I would have went to college, I honestly, if I had money for it, I would have went to something really useful, not to like say you should be saddled with student debt if you didn't, but like what I actually would have been like an archaeologist or a doctor or because like I don't say doctor like lightly, like I'm actually really interested in medical stuff, and I did first aid in the workplace. I've actually given advice to somebody on how to tourniquet a wound that ended up saving a coworker's life when that situation ended up happening. And he used his belt as a temporary pinch right here in the armpit to cinch around the guy's arm after he had his artery cut. It was like a big fucking deal. So
Wow.
I helped save a life just by giving fucking advice, and I've like treated people's wounds before. So I've actually treated myself more than anybody else, which is where I learn how to like apply bandages.
Self-taught, applied to myself.
Well, no, I am officially certified for first aid.
Oh, cool.
I was in British Columbia during the time, because it's provincially in Canada. I was certified in British Columbia during the time that I worked there, and I will be getting recertified as part of the Directors Guild of Canada for first aid level 1. So it's just something that's always been a part of my skill set for pretty much most of my adult life, and I am very on that shit. And my dad was on that shit, and my brother's on that shit. My dad was a first responder, actually. So it's kind of like a family tradition. I picked up skills and lessons from him on how to do stuff. So like the first time I patched somebody up, very short story, I won't give you the gruesome details. We were picking up asphalt that they had ripped up because we were replacing a road. And the kid tried to grab a chunk that was about, like, I don't know, it was huge. It was like this fucking big, right? And
for the listeners,
you know, like, pardon? Oh, like 3 feet tall and about 1.5 feet wide, right? So it's like pretty big chunk. And if you know anything about asphalt, it's very solid when it's cold, but if it heats up, it's very pliable, right?
yes.
And we're living in a desert, okay?
Yeah.
Working in a fucking desert. It gets over 40 degrees. You can, when it's that hot, you can take a nail and hammer it into asphalt and you can drive it all the way through without issue. Don't do it. You'll absolutely destroy the fucking road when you do, but you can just fuck it right up. And he picks up this chunk in the middle, expecting it to be able to support its own weight.
Ooh.
All right. And it can't. And the top half falls off and it lands on his shin right midway, like about 4 inches below the knee, and it slides like, I'd say like a 3-inch ride down. So it was like a good skin on his shin. And I've had fucking way worse injuries. We all have, right? But he was really freaking out. And my dad, he's just as calm as a cucumber. He's like, and he knew exactly what to ask. He's like, "You ever been hurt before?" And then the kid just shakes his head no. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Not everybody gets a big injury like this earlier on in life. And sometimes when they do, you have to pay attention because they can go into shock just from the pain of it." So like he walked me through like seeing how the kid was starting to get pale, like laying him down so he's not going to pass out and fall down and hurt himself, and like just giving it a saline wash and like a loose bandage because there's not a lot we can do. It's just a skinned shin. And just little things like that, you know, you wouldn't have expected to meet people who've just never had injuries before, but apparently it's really fucking common with young construction workers who are in their 20s. They go to their first labor job, and it is a statistic that you will be hurt on the job if you're under 25. It happened to me. It happens to fucking everybody. It varies in severity, right? Yeah, it's just gonna happen. You're not ready for it, right? First day on the job, however, I had a fucking block of wood fall in my hand and almost break it, right? It didn't land on top of it and crush it. I was walking like with my arm down, and it fell so close that it hit my arm while it was out like that and grazed my hand. But if I had had it on a surface and it landed, it would have crushed my hand and I would have lost it from compartmentalization, or like however it works when your bone gets so crushed. Yeah, it's a big fucking deal. If you get like crushing injuries are huge. They're like the leading cause of amputations, actually. Yeah, because like the bone gets pulverized and it can't really do anything.
Yeah, you
right?
can't really do
And
anything
then,
with that. Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor because this is far beyond the level of first aid, but it's when like the tissue gets so inflamed that blood can't get in or out of it.
Oh yeah,
and
then it would
gets
just
really fucking red, and it
Yeah.
just starts dying, and you have
Yeah.
to cut it off or it'll go septic and start spreading.
Yeah.
It's the leading cause of amputations from what I'm aware of.
Oh.
Sorry to take it to such an intense place.
No, it's good knowledge to have. It's good things to know. Because, you know, you never know.
Also good knowledge to know that if you are injured while you're on the job, know your fucking rights, or you could end up like me, who at 19 was injured while working at Walmart. Funny, I just processed another multi-$100,000 check from them today. Infuriates me every time I have to do it. Because I was told to break down a pallet of shoes. I was on overnight shift, and they put a box of steel toes at the top, and I twisted my tailbone and tore a ligament and sprained all 3 muscles, and that was 13 years ago, and I still, to this day, my back is fucked up, and because of birth control, now have osteoporosis in the same area in my spine. And it's just like, if I had known back then, lawyers.
It was
A
particularly
lot different.
it was a hot topic of conversation when I worked for the law firm for a year, because it was a personal injury law firm, and I was reading all these fucking slip and fall cases. Like, some lady fucking stubbed her toe in a Walmart. She's walking out with $20K. Like, I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, I was like, man, if you would have known your rights then, you would have known.
One thing I've learned though is read those lawsuits with a critical eye, because
I used to write them.
Yeah, because sometimes you're getting a slant, right? Like, you all know that
yes.
that story of that lady who spilt that McDonald's coffee on herself and decided it was hot and sued McDonald's. Turns out it was so fucking hot beyond the temperature that it would have normally supposed to have been. She needed fucking skin grafts, and there was no way to cover the surgery without a lawsuit. Tell me, what do you do in a country that doesn't have, you know, Medicare for all, universal health insurance? You go through a legal litigation for damages because it's your only fucking recourse. And then they try and slander you to make you look like you're a no good, money grubbing, greedy piece of shit, so that you don't get the fucking settlement. And even if you get paid out, all people hear is that narrative, right? So like, you heard that story of that worst aunt ever who had her nephew break her arm and then she sued him?
No, I've never heard of that.
It's a huge misrepresentation, because she didn't sue him. She had to file a claim with the family's health insurance, and they had to label somebody as the cause of it, and she had to name him as the injury. So they spun it like she sued her nephew when she didn't. Otherwise, she would have like been left with a broken arm and no fucking care, because America is like just a fucked up nation.
That happens a lot. It happened a lot with lawsuits that we were doing. Like, if there was a kid in the car, but then like the parent was driving, sometimes you had to have another representative for the child, because, you know, you have to like sue the parent, kind of. You have to like sue the parent's insurance. It's just like a whole stupid thing. The whole system is stupid. But no, it was just the fact that I was seeing these obviously bullshit cases that were winning, and I was like, man, if you would have known then, you know, like, you had a legit permanent injury that could have easily been proven. Yeah, I just think about that a lot. So
That's
fuck
like
you, Walmart.
that's like
the
at least
hospital.
$500,000 or more for
Went to the
like
hospital,
lifetime
had-
damages.
It could have been
Sorry,
huge.
go ahead.
Therapy thing. Yeah, and then when you have a legitimate case, like when I was in the hospital for 9 days and was abused and just treated horribly, and
Yeah, they
my heart
punctured your
punctured.
heart with a...
Just straight up, yeah, while I was conscious during surgery, because my IV was leaking. I was supposed to be out. And so I was awake for when they needle in the fucking heart. Like, that's like,
But because
so,
you
like,
signed that piece of
cliche.
paper before the
Because I
procedure.
signed a piece of paper, no lawyer would take. Well, no, it was just that no lawyer would take on my case because not enough permanent injury was sustained.
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse
Yeah.
me. I was like, I see bitches on TV all the time talking about, oh my god, I was awake during my surgery and I sued them for millions of dollars, and you're telling me I got nothing.
It depends on the lawyer. It depends on the lawyer and what they're willing to do, because some lawyers, which are considered ambulance chasers, are willing to do so because they're not afraid of the stigma that comes with it, because sometimes you got to play a little dirty, and I'm using air quotations here because it is
It
what
just
it
seems
is,
like
and law is horseshit.
it would be too hard of a case. And because Christiana, Delaware Healthcare, shout out, is so A+, their malpractice insurance is A tier. And so it's not even worth it to try to bring a case against them because it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. and
Always bring
it's
it back to the shitty capitalist hellscape that we live in. But
Hey, it's Wrath Month now, so we don't spend time partying anymore. We spend times planning and talking about solutions.
absolutely. No, really, I actually really like that idea of what we talked about of collecting all those corporate symbols and having like a gay wrath effigy kind of thing. I really like that idea, like at the end of Pride Month.
Do it like Burning Man. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone here is listening and in the Discord, or you want to jump into the Discord, this would be a good reason to join the Discord. Jump in there and start giving us your fucking corporate logos that you find that are all rainbow-fied.
I mean, more than corporate logos on like a digital sense, I mean, like, they make physical merchandise that we can burn and like cobble together into like some horrible effigy like burning
Also
man
that too, but
that
I
we
don't know
physically
if...
light on fire.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd want to spend money on all
You
that.
don't. You get given it for free at Pride.
Oh, that's true, but then I'd have to go to Pride.
It costs money to go to Pride.
It costs $25 fucking dollars to go to Pride.
What?
I will say, okay, here's a caveat. The Philly gay scene was so fucked for a while. There was a non-profit, it was called Philly Pride Presents, and they were the non-profit organization that ran Philly Pride. Well, they were like super buddy-buddy with the Philadelphia police force. Pride was always filled with fucking cops. So they would have a parade and they would cut, like Market Street, like whatever. They'd have the parade. The parade was free. Anyone could watch the fucking parade. But there was an event area called Penn's Landing, which is this big like outdoor area, but it is gated and fenced off. And so like after the parade, there was like there was like entertainment and a stage and like a bunch of vendors and stuff like that where you could drink and buy shit and get your free rainbow shit. But to get in, there was always an entry fee. When I was younger, it was like, I think it started at like $5 or $7, which I was like, okay, whatever, it covers your rental of the space. It was like $5. Now it is like $20-$25, I think the last time I checked. I could slightly be exaggerating. I could, but the Philly scene was so fucked. The gay scene in Philly was so fucked. That nonprofit organization up and disappeared. They went poof because everyone was like, yo, get the cops out of the fucking Pride Parade. No one wants them here. Get them the fuck out. Their job is to corner off the street safely and not be involved in the fucking shit. And so what Philly Pride Presents did, they said, well, fuck you, you're not going to have a pride parade. Bye, we're dissolved.
Jesus.
Yeah. Thankfully, another organization has stepped up and they seem really cool. So hopefully, maybe in that case, maybe we should check out whatever's going on for Pride this year since it's ran by new people. So maybe we will.
If it's not on a weekend in June where we don't already have plans.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. But anyway,
There's always Outfest in October.
There is always Outfest.
I prefer Outfest.
Yeah, but Outfest is also
hot. Something similar happened out
Pride March
here,
on Sunday, this Sunday, said Todd. So Pride's this Sunday, according to Todd.
Oh.
Something similar happened out here, y'all, with like them trying to monetize Pride really hard. Like they set up like this, like you gotta pay $20 or whatever and like show your ID, and then you get into like this gated area
where you can buy more shit
right now, where you can drink and walk around and do like a booze cruise sort of thing. And like they're going to be searching people, and like there's a huge pushback against it, and a lot of people are pissed off. And there's like mainstream Pride out here, which is like Pride that's subsidized by corporate capitalism and like city council queers, who some of them are really fucking problematic and have had to be like removed from the fucking board because you know how that is. And then there's like another one that's like non-mainstream Pride called Bricks and Glitter, which is like really fucking awesome. I know somebody who like coordinates with it, and they're super cool. Like it's way, way, way more where I would rather spend my time and energy as opposed to mainstream Pride, because that's just not for, you know, anybody who's not like a cis white queer, you know?
Yeah. I feel that. But I don't know. Apparently, Philly Pride is the Sunday, so I don't know if we are doing anything.
Oh, shit.
I'm looking at this site right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to cry because that's embarrassing.
When has that ever been embarrassing?
They've revamped it. It's the 50th year. It is this Sunday. It's a march. It's not a parade.
It's a march.
It's a march, a community march that departs from Independence Mall at 11 a.m. on Sunday, June 5th. With 3 stops along the way to highlight diverse voices. The first stop honors the Lenni Lenape people with a land acknowledgement. Second stop features speakers uplifting people of color and trans members of the community. And the third stop celebrates and connects LGBTQ youth and elders at the former site of a mural depicting the late LGBTQ rights leader Gloria Cazares.
We should go?
And then afterwards, the Pride Festival is in the neighborhood.
Where it fucking should be. In the neighborhood.
Live performances.
So just like Outfest, because that's where Outfest is.
Yes.
We should go.
Oh my god.
We should check it out. We'll at least check it out. We'll see how it is. That's amazing, because it was totally different from like what that other organization was doing. So that sounds amazing, actually. What a really great note to wrap up this Pride Wrath episode on. It's not even gay, it's just Pride Wrath. Be prideful of your gay wrath.
Hell the fuck yeah. Sorry, y'all. You know how work is. I get texts at the middle of nowhere, or not in the middle of nowhere, at the middle of like night, and I'll just be like, oh, wake up, business time.
I used to have a job that was kind of like that. Now the podcast is kind of like that, so I feel that. And so is Pagan Pride. We have some night owls like on the board. So
yeah, it's like that. You'll get like a text or a call sometimes. I had a call at 4 a.m. one time because this new LSP was like confused about details, and I was like, "Man, you got to do this and this and this," and I'm going back to bed. Good night, because I have to be up in 5 hours. Like, and
Past my bedtime.
and sometimes, like, you're gonna be working the next day, and you've prepped everything, but you don't know what the location is until your company gets it to you, and they'll be like, "Good evening, tomorrow at 7 a.m. at this location," and it's like coming in at 8:30, and you're like, "Fuck, could you just give me a little more time to plan this one out,
Just a
man?"
smidge.
Uh,
But
anyways,
it's like an hour and a half. I think we've said a lot about a lot of things. Any closing final statements? Concluding thoughts?
fuck you, colonialism, fuck you, capitalism. It's Indigenous and Pride Raft Month, baby. We're gonna fucking change this shit, and we're sick of it. So fuck you, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
I love it. I love it. Applause. Applause.
Burn it all to the ground.
Yeah.
You can get a visit from federal agents for saying that, just so you know.
Oops. But yes, be prideful, unleash your wrath, and we will see you in the next one.